Hey everybody, we're here talking about Heroes Con in 2024, and this is going to be a kind of overview of our experience at the convention, some things that we saw and did, and what we thought of the convention. So, Heroes is something that happens in Charlotte, in North Carolina, and it's probably about the biggest comic-centric convention. I appreciate it for that fact that it's comic-centric. It doesn't have a lot of different media, like movies and TV stuff. Obviously, some of that's there just because of comic books, but it's not the focus. And so when you go there, you're able to talk to creators, get signatures, get original art, and discover new artists. And it's generally a lot of really fun stuff to see. And just wanted to kind of get things started there with that. Logan, what was your experience this year, overall, what would you say?
It was fun as always. It was great to see all the artists and everything, because that's one of the things to talk about Heroes Con is just how much of it is Artist Alley and all of that stuff. You get to meet a lot of the artists you haven't met before, maybe even ones you have at previous cons, or just big names. Get things signed, see different art pieces and prints and stuff. Spend all of your money and go broke.
Did you though?
Almost.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a very busy con. It's a large one in a sense, but it doesn't have that big time feel necessarily, because you just, you pass by the artists on their way to their next panel or going to their table or whatever they're going to do, and everybody just, somebody might stop and just talk to somebody else, or they talk to each other, artists talking to another artist, and just appreciating the work that each other does. So it's just a nice environment for that too.
Yeah, so our times kind of started on Thursday, so we got there early, and we got our bands, which let us in for the 3 days. And of course, Thursday looks a lot different. And, I actually got a photograph that I'll probably post on the website of everyone kind of setting up, because you can kind of look over the show floor from above where we were, and got a little shot there of before everything was set up. And it's amazing to see the change that happens, that when it goes from really kind of nothing to a whole show with tons of things to look at. And on Thursday, of course, there were some booths that were getting close to being set up. A lot of the sellers had a lot of their short boxes and long boxes already out, but it still did not even look half of what it was when it was finished. And again, it's amazing to see, because then overnight, basically, when we come back the next morning, everything's different.
Yeah, all those trucks that were waiting in line
oh my goodness,
on the street, finally got all their stuff in.
Yep. So on day one, it's kind of the first day. We're kind of there to kind of get the lay of the land. We kind of see what's out there. We try to do somewhat of a methodical pass through of each section of the con. We got into the show floor. We just kind of decided, let's just take care of one wing of the show floor, and we'll just knock that out. So that's what we did. One thing I find always amazes me, though, that somehow we always miss something. So a lot of times we'll come back, and then we'll be like, oh, that was there? I don't remember seeing that artist or that booth or whatever it was.
Probably because somebody was standing there and blocking the view of something.
So definitely a couple things, if you are considering going to a con like this, it's good to get there the day before if you can, and get you pre-registered. If you pre-registered, and get your bands, so you don't have to wait in line for that the next day.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, because I think last year we weren't able to get there on Thursday, so we got our bands on Friday.
Yeah,
and that delayed us.
Yeah.
In the process, but this way it's much better.
Yeah, and then also too, like I said, if you get that kind of preview of the show floor, but then keep coming back, because you might see things differently. like you said, Rach, maybe, someone would just happen to be in front of us when we're walking by and we just didn't see it.
And sometimes artists take breaks.
Yes.
Or they're there on Saturday and Sunday and not on Friday or
yeah.
different things like that. So, you might, catch them at different times too.
Exactly.
So you can plan.
Exactly. So, yeah, one of our first, some of the first photos you'll see in the galleries is of the 501st, which have, the Star Wars costumes. And we got a nice Darth Vader with a damaged helmet from the Obi-Wan series facing off against Obi-Wan. So it's always nice to see the cosplay. Not as much on Friday, but there was still some. And then, so a few of us competed in the quick draw, which is a tradition at Heroes Con. You got 20 minutes to draw something, whatever you like, and then they have these professionals that look at the art. And so that was fun. And then after that, we went, it was right after that. We went to a panel, a podcasting 103. Right before. Was it before or after?
It was right before that.
Oh, I got it backwards in my head. Sorry. You're right. It was right before. Yeah. So we did the little preview of the show floor, did a little bit of that, and then saw some things. And then we went to the podcasting panel. So I met some other podcasters. Most of them are doing comic books. So that was cool to kind of do a little networking. Learned a couple things. Most of it, I've been doing this for a while. I knew, but not that I'm bragging. A little humble brag, right? But yeah, so then we did the quick draw. And then we went back down to the show floor. I don't think we did any other, we didn't do any other panels after that. Just spend the rest of our time on the floor.
Yeah. Panels are nice because if you pick ones that you're interested in and, but they're also, if you just need to kind of hang out in a room and relax and check out what somebody's talking about, it can be a nice spot to just cool off and relax for a bit too.
Yeah, kind of break things up, for sure. Yeah, so then we'll fast forward to Saturday. Of course, Saturday is probably the busiest day. In fact, they had record attendance.
Yeah.
So that was cool. It's always good to see Heroes Con doing well.
Pretty sure most of them were in Chris Claremont's line.
Probably. And of course, Saturday is going to be your best day to see cosplay. And right away, actually, we were just waiting in line, and we saw a lot of people already dressed up in line. Saw this guy with a great costume, like a medieval costume with a puppet dragon on his shoulder. That was really cool. We saw a guy with a huge Gundam costume, very well made. So that's some of the pictures you'll see.
Saw a bunch of people standing around pointing at each other. I don't know.
Yeah, super weird, right? Logan, you saw that, right? So it looked like spider people, maybe, pointing at each other.
Every year.
Saw some really good. There's a lot of people that we see year after year, which is cool. Sometimes it's the same costume. Sometimes they're coming up with some new costumes, or updating their costumes. So that's cool. A big thing that we did on Saturday morning was getting Daniel Warren Johnson's signature. And so, how was that experience, Logan? Because I know you wanted to get his signature too.
Yeah, it's very nice. He even did a little doodle of Beta Ray Bill in there.
Yeah. So you had a trade paperback for the Beta Ray Bill series he did.
Didn't have to wait in line at all, did you?
Oh, not at all. It was just like 2 hours. It was fine. Technically, we ended up being first in line because there was one person ahead of us. But then there was this moment where Daniel Warren Johnson showed up for a minute, and this guy got his stuff signed and he left. But then Daniel Warren Johnson left because he was doing a panel. And then after he was done with the panel, he came back. And I was fine with that because I wanted to make sure that I had a chance to meet him, and Logan wasn't there at the time, so wanted to make sure that he could actually get the signature with Logan there, so that was cool.
Yeah.
That's part of the point of doing it.
But what helped you while you were waiting?
Being prepared. So yeah, Rachel made sure we were prepared. We had a cart, had all our stuff in it, so you had to carry all that stuff on our back. So there's another tip for you. You get a little push cart like you get for the beach. And then...
Kind of like a wagon, yeah.
And
foldable.
you can find that stuff on Amazon easy. And then
somebody asked me while I was there, and where'd you get that? Amazon.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people thought we were actually resellers because a lot of resellers use them because they'll have all their comics that they're getting signed that they're going to resell later in their cart. But all we have is supplies, and then of course our loot that we buy.
Yeah.
And then we also have little fold up little stools. That's always good too for sitting.
And bring something to put your media in, too, if you're going to buy any artwork.
Oh yeah, something to keep it safe.
Protected.
Sometimes vendors will have stuff like that at the con, but it's always better to get it ahead of time. It's usually get cheaper and get what you want instead of being limited to whatever they have available. So yes, it was a long wait, but what's nice is that since we were first in line, as soon as you got there, we were done. We got to leave, and in fact, that line was there like pretty much the whole day after that, which was crazy. So I'm glad we were there first in line, didn't have to wait. So that's another tip. Again, be prepared. Have something like a cart so you don't have to have everything on your back. Have something to sit on if you plan on waiting, especially if you're going to get signatures. So that was the first thing we did in the morning, and then later, Logan has a little story about him trying to get Ron Lim's signature, which is of Silver Surfer fame. So Logan, I don't know if you want to tell what happened there.
Yeah, they have this along a wall. They have this whole section of some of the bigger name artists and writers and stuff. You got Chris Claremont, John Romita Jr., all those kind of people over there. And Ron Lim on the map, it said that he would be over there. But it was like, I went over there and I didn't see him. It turns out, because we went to Info Booth later, it turns out he was there, but he didn't have a banner up like most people did. So it was very easy to miss him. And when I had gone over there, he wasn't at his booth. So I couldn't notice him. So it just looked like there's just an empty table basically with a couple comics sitting on it kind of thing. And so it was only because we then went to a panel about Cosmic Marvel stuff that had Ron Lim on it that we basically followed him back afterwards, more or less.
You're a stalker.
Basically, yeah. Logan's a stalker.
Except that you got there before he did.
Except somehow we ended up getting there before he did.
It's kind of a reverse stalking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because after the panel was over, I noticed one of the con volunteers, I guess, was kind of acting as his handler. To make sure that he got to his next spot. Because, sometimes these artists, they're not familiar with the lay of the land. So, I can't remember if this was his first year coming, but in any case, he was reliant on the volunteer to make sure he didn't get lost, basically. But then we get to the signature spot. You're in line. First in line, yes.
He's proud of that one.
Yeah, and I see the handler show up, but I don't see him. So I'm like, okay. So, but he ended up showing up a little bit later. So I don't know what delayed him. But so he got there. Logan got his signature.
And there was a con-exclusive comic.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So that was cool. I got to get my picture with General Grievous. That was fun. And then the rest of the day on Saturday, we just kind of, again, just went around and checked out the different booths and creators.
Logan, didn't you get another signature on Saturday?
Well, it was Daniel Ward Johnson. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go on.
Got
Star Wars book signed.
So that was cool. Yeah, we met some other Ninja Turtle artists. I got some cool prints from one of them who's doing alternative covers for the Here There Be Dragons series, part 2 that's coming out, or the second follow-up series that's coming out later this year. So it's cool to get some actual prints from those books that haven't even come out yet. So that was cool. Some nice Godzilla and Mothra and Gojira. Not Gojira, yeah. What is it? Gojira. Yeah, Gojira.
Gojira, Mothra, and Ghidorah.
You
combined Gojira and Ghidorah into Godira.
Yeah, I'm totally a fan.
I can't unhear that now.
I know, sorry. I messed you up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. So then Sunday, I was like, I had a good time sitting in line for 2 hours, and we're going to do it again. So
Right away.
I was like, let's do it. So Scotty Young was the next target for a signature. And this was on Sunday morning. So first thing we got there. Same deal. I wasn't quite first in line. I was like second or third.
Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close. And then because there was a group of us, we could kind of swap out. And that's what we did for Daniel Ward Johnson too. So I forgot to mention that. That's another tip. If you can, have friends. Friends are useful.
Careful how you word that. If you can have friends.
So
I think anyone that's listening to us has friends. I have confidence.
You got 50-50 chance.
Try to convince your friends to come with you.
That's
and then you use your friends. No. If you have enough of a group, you can have one or two people in line, and then the rest can just kind of roam about, and then you can swap out. And if you do that, then it makes the waiting a little bit easier. So that's another tip for everybody if you've never had to wait in line for a signature for 2 hours. But we had some good conversations. While I was in line both Saturday and Sunday, I had good conversations with some of the other con attendees, and so that was cool. So again, it didn't really feel like it was a long time. It's just, we were all there for the same thing. Just having a good time.
Yeah, met a lot of great people.
And I'm trying to remember, I don't think we went to any panels on Sunday, did we? I don't believe so.
I don't believe so.
So no panels, but we just kept going around. So there's another thing, Sundays are a great day to get deals. So like one of the, met an artist, he's actually from Brazil, who's doing some work for DC. He had some great Green Lantern and Batman and Damian print, got 2-for-1 special, so that was cool. So that was nice. So that's another tip. If you can, wait till Sunday to do any major purchases, because usually those things will be discounted. Now, of course, there is a caveat, because if you wait too long, the thing you're looking for might be sold before Sunday. So obviously you have to kind of weigh the balance there as to whether to get it right away or wait.
Yeah. How bad do you really want it? Because if you really want it super bad, you probably don't want to wait and run that risk. I read a post about somebody who was there and they missed out on something because they were going to come back the same day and get it, and it was gone. So, don't do anything foolish. If you really want something. I noticed too a lot on Sunday that more artists were wanting cash instead of doing cards and stuff like that. So, another thing that to maybe consider if they're kind of wanting to close things out, might make a better deal if you do cash too.
That's true. Yes, it might be good to have some cash on hand. They do have an ATM there, but of course, you get the ATM fees.
Well, and if everybody else is using the ATM, it might run out.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, so Sunday was, I think we ended things ourselves a little early on Sunday.
Well, the artists ended early too.
Yeah, some were leaving around 3 o'clock, so that's another thing to consider as well. There's certain artists you want to see and get signatures from, or books or art. You want to keep that in mind as well, that a lot of artists are looking to pack up and head home by Sunday. I would say especially if they're, maybe they had a good weekend and they're like, I've made my money I need to make it and now I want to go home. Something like that. But in any case, so we ended kind of earlier on Sunday, but I think overall we had a good time, right guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
I think Heroes is definitely, if you are in the area, it's a go-to. It's not going to be as obviously as big as New York or San Diego, but the bonus is it's not as big as New York or San Diego.
Yeah.
So
and it's more comics focused.
yes.
Very comics focused.
So I think we're 365 days or so away from the next one. So maybe now's the time to start planning.
Yep.
To go to HeroesCon 2025.
That's right. Yeah. Sooner the better to plan. Logan, any final thoughts from you?
I don't know if there's anything that I haven't already said.
Okay.
It's a great con, and you had better go, or else.
You start saving up for next year, Logan.
Something like that.
All right. Well, I think that's about does it for this episode of Comic Talk Cafe. I've been Jonathan.
I've been Logan.
This is Rachel.
And you've been listening to Comic Talk Cafe.
I have.
You have.